People believe that both V and RM likely were getting really emotional after leaving the military. And then there's this picture showing the interaction right before he's leaving. And then people believe that BTS have been seen together at this fountain event, as well as pictures showing a lot of new things that people are excited about. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Let's get into it. Apparently, V had shared some pictures alongside one of his friends at the gym, and people were very shocked at how good they both looked. People online were saying that they looked like #cute besties as they were working out together and bulking together. It's undeniable that his body looks very different than what it was when he first went to the military. And we can take all of these moments where we see him working out to be the reason why. This was also posted on Instagram, and it caused quite a stir as people were even more surprised by V and his recent figures, specifically saying that the upper part of his body seems to be a lot bigger than what they had initially expected. I don't know if there was ever a shirtless picture of V that was posted of him in the military, but I think a lot of them were just him in a t-shirt, and people could just kind of see his muscles through the shirt. But they didn't actually see it fully. But with the muscle tee, like what he's wearing now, you can obviously see his arms and how toned they are. People were very surprised to see them both side by side and really get a full good look at how different his body is now. The specific word that was used over and over again was unreal body proportions. Now, every time I see a celebrity work out and look really good, this unreal body proportion topic or phrase gets brought up, and sometimes I'll look and I'll say, okay, that looks really good. At other times I'll say, I think you guys just like the celebrity, and then you say that they look very good because of that. However, in this case, V does actually look really good, and he definitely looks very full and very buff compared to the before the military. I will definitely be surprised to see if he keeps this up going forward and what his plans are going to be, because it is easier to have a slimmer physique than it is to have one that is buff. And I say this because it's easy for someone to just not eat and be really thin and slim versus someone who, of course, has to eat a lot but then has to work out excessively to maintain a muscular or athletic build. And this is often why I say don't marry for looks, don't date someone solely for looks, because those things can fade. And especially with guys, when you get older or you stop working out, you're going to start to not see those muscles anymore, and they're going to go away. You're just going to start to see the weight come out because they're likely eating a lot or the same as when they were working out, but they're not working out anymore. So, and I mention this because touring and having this crazy schedule that V and all the other BTS members have is something that is very stressful, and sometimes they don't have time to work out, and sometimes they don't have time to look after themselves. I mean, they barely have time to sleep. Now, if it was up to them and they had a choice between sleeping a few hours versus spending those few hours working out and just skipping sleep altogether, I would imagine hopefully they would pick sleep. Yeah, sometimes on tour you might have 4 or 5 hours at night to sleep, and you're going to use a chunk of that time to work out, or you would rather just have all that time, which isn't even enough time to sleep anyway. Would you want to go to sleep? So this is why I say sometimes for them, it might just be easier to just not eat to maintain that shape than it is to constantly work out all the time. And I'm not promoting that at all, but we know very well that the boys would likely do that anyway. I'm very curious to see how that will end up, and of course, we will know very soon. And the reason why we'll know very soon is because all of the members are gearing up to be released out of the military by the end of this month. Pretty much by July, everyone will be out, which is extremely exciting. And definitely we're going to start to see a lot more content coming out, and of course, since the boys will be coming out of the military, we can definitely expect that the community has a few surprises planned. One of the surprises took the internet by storm, as everyone was so surprised in a really happy way that the community was able to pull this off. This was by the JTBC building, I assume the headquarters of the filming studio, whatever, and it was in Seoul. They had the fountain do a little bit of a show. It was believed it lasted about half an hour. I don't know if I can find a full clip of the actual show. It could be longer, it could be shorter, I'm not entirely sure, but there were several songs being played during this fountain show. I looked up how much a fountain show could cost, and my searches spat out about $50,000 American dollars. And this is not a formal number. It's just a number of general things pieced together, like how much it might cost to rent out a space in a big city like that for a certain amount of time. How much would it cost to run the actual show and things like that. So it's really just an estimate. However, that's a show that the community really put together a lot of their own money just to do something like this, which is really cool. And it played several BTS's songs. The first one was Idol, and then it played, I believe, a bunch of V's music, because this was mostly his fan club that was doing it. I'm gearing up to react to a lot more BTS content, especially if they're going to be doing more content that might cause us to freak out like this. If you're interested in fangirling and watching those reactions and joining the community over there and fangirling over cute BTS moments, then make sure you check out the Patreon. I'll leave a link at the top of the description. Literally the cheapest tier, I believe, is $1, and you'll have access to all of the things that I just said, as well as over 1,000 videos that are already on there. And if you want to, I hope to see you there. People were very surprised to hear that BTS was coming out of the military and also see that the boys' music was being played at this fountain. And it was very much a symbolic meaning of all the boys eventually coming back together and becoming a group again. And it was kind of their first group thing. That wasn't an official thing, but it was kind of their group thing of them as they're coming out of the military. This made semi-big headlines online. I don't believe there was any formal big news sites that covered this, but I believe there were a lot of smaller ones and just fan forums posting about this. I think a lot of news sites, or even the people that were in Seoul, probably just thought that this was something that either the company did, JTBC did, or just random things like that. And I imagine since it was in front of a studio or a network, they probably do these types of events all the time. And it usually might be sponsored by them most of the time, so nothing unusual. Maybe it isn't, I don't know. But this is what a lot of people are very excited about, as this was a very cool thing to do. And I hope BTS finds out about it. I'm sure they know about it, as I'm sure they go online and see stuff like this all the time, so that's very exciting. All of this done by the community is made as an effort to bring awareness back, but also to celebrate and let the community know that the boys are back. It's also a way to show love to the BTS boys, so if they find out about this, they're going to feel like this was such a beautiful welcome home. Even though this is mostly just for V, the boys can probably still feel the love. Since V is believed to be coming out of the military and is believed to have finished his leaving ceremony, or whatever you want to call it, people were freaking out about a picture that was posted online. It was a picture that was taken from a distance. People aren't sure if it's a stalker photo, if it's a professional photo, or what the situation was, because there were definitely people who were outside of the military waiting for V, and this was a message that the label had put out themselves, saying they did not want anyone there. So we don't know if it was actually fans that were there, or if it was the media and news sites that were there. And just to point out, media and news sites being in an area that fans are typically not allowed to be at is totally fine. You would hope and expect that most media sites are going to act with a sense of professionalism. And if not professional in the sense where they care about their job, it's going to be professional in the sense where they're not going to do anything that's going to cause them to be a danger. So not cause a fire hazard and that sort of stuff. I would imagine they are somewhat trained in knowing how to navigate such a crowded and chaotic space. This photo that was taken at a distance, and it was peering into V saying goodbye to all of his friends. It was a cute celebration. He got flowers. It was a big and warm goodbye, as a lot of people made sure to see him, and they seemingly maybe were sad to see him go. A lot of people were saying that he might have gotten emotional too, saying goodbye to everybody, and he might have secretly gone off and cried, or secretly gone teary-eyed in front of the soldiers. But I don't know if this is actually true, as we can see him quite happy. He's talking to everybody, and he seems glad that he's leaving. But it also doesn't seem like he thinks that this will be the last time that he sees any of them. I'm sure if he wants to keep in touch with anyone, he would have exchanged information with them. I do hope that other people who leave the military, not just the BTS members, get a warm exit just like V did. I would hate for someone to watch kind of this big celebration that went on with V, and people making a lot of noise and excited to see that V is moving on to other things, and then other soldiers hoping that maybe they would get a similar thing, but maybe most people who leave the military don't get any noise at all, which would be kind of sad, because while I'm sure there are formal graduations sort of soldiers leaving the military, I don't know if this was actually done, because we haven't actually seen any news reports of that type of thing happening, or anyone really talking about him getting a formal ceremony and leaving, and it just seems more like he served his duty and then now he gets to leave. And I could be wrong, but I believe it's mostly the Navy and the Marines that get like a formal send-off, right? I don't think just the soldiers from the army do, but I could be entirely wrong about that. So if you are someone who served, let me know about that, and I would love to hear it. But even if you haven't, let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thank you to this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.